Hey there folks, and welcome back to the Icenia campaign. Last time, we did the entire First Northern War in one massive episode, which I probably will try not to have episodes go that long again. I did say I'd do these as 30-minute episodes as much as I can, so we'll try not to get a little too into it like that again, if we can help it. But now that that's done, we have a lot of economy stuff to do. We just took a fair bit of territory, which needs to be reorganized as much as we can. Now, the Dabunian portion of it is already set correctly because we owned part of Dabunia before. The capital, fortunately, did not change away from Banawenta. I was a little bit worried it might. But what we can do is go ahead and just take a look at this new territory and get rid of buildings we don't need. We will not need this fort here in Reita, or rather Rete. What do we have here? Slave estate, that's fine. We'll leave that. Nothing there, nothing there. And farming settlement there, that's fine. All right, so that's good. And this is our mercenary force. They're going to head back pretty soon. Over here in Ordowicia, we captured a little bit more territory. I don't remember exactly which parts we had before, but at the very least, this fort here does not need to exist. We will go ahead and do that. All right, now for the new territory, or the new provinces that we've taken. The other stuff already has the right policy. Here in Cornoia, this can be changed, although it may not need to be changed super soon because this acquisition of wealth policy is a really good one if we're not going to do the culture one. And then the other territory is Courtania, which also has that one. We also need to not spend too much political influence because our capital move is something I've been saying we'll be doing for quite a while, and now is the chance to do it that we have. So we need, let's see what we actually need right this turn, or right this moment. It actually does require 105 political influence now because of our growing nation. I think that's why. Again, I'm not entirely sure what determines this, but so that's handy. We can't really change any policies at all, so we'll not worry about that. What we can do is take a look at these actual like territories and settlements and modify things there. Now, I said before, trying to figure out where the provincial capital in Cornoia should be. I still think Dewa is a decently good option, even though it would be directly next to Canoium, which is the best option in the very rough terrain of Ordowicia. Alternatively, we could do something further away to better extend fort control. Another option is Mamukium over here. Now, Mamukium is 6 bordering settlements, so that's a good start. It also allows for pretty good control of this mountain pass in Rigo Downum, which we could also separately fortify, which I might very well do. That's often a good idea with these mountain passes. But this is a good defensible location with, where it's located. It extends quite a bit of control all around. It does overlap a little bit with the Cornoium fort zone of control, but only by one province here in Dewa, which is such an important province in terms of armies moving around here that it's fine if that's sort of extra controlled. Mamukium is also, it's not actually in my territory yet, so I can't make this change yet, but it will be in my territory after the next war. But other locations in this area that would be fine as well. Another one that actually may be good, and this may seem like a bit of a strange one to point to, is actually Lutudarum over here in the corner of the province. So the reason for this would be a central fortified location extending control in the middle of this part of Britannia. Otherwise, and the other thing too is it would line up not quite fully, but pretty closely with the Canoium fort. And the other reason for that is that the fort the provincial capital / fort location over here in Courtania is likely to be more along the coastline somewhere. So we'll return to that matter later. Over here in Courtania, as for where the fort should be, I think definitely not in the marsh, so not going to be in Boracum, the historic local capital, which is a marsh, which is not good terrain for building a city in. Marsh and hills, not as likely. Mountains, definitely not. This terrain is also pretty bad over here. So I think in terms of where I'd want to place a provincial capital, on the coast is probably best, which means if we don't want it to be marsh, Banawalum is going to be a pretty solid location. It's already the location, which is quite handy for a lot of reasons. If this were the actual location, though, the main downside of having it be Banawalum is this: 1, 2, 3. Only 3 settlements for the fort zone of control. This is not a very good defensive location for extending the fort zone of control. And if we put it in Banawalum, that would push me to set Lutudarum as the capital over here to kind of counteract this, as that would extend the fort zones of control effectively there while leaving over here a little less protected. This is a level of micromanagement I probably don't need to do in what will eventually be a fairly central part of our nation, and not a place I'll be expecting a lot of military action. But it's the sort of thing I do want to think about. Lutudarum, though, as a hills location, isn't going to be a great city spot, so that's the other issue. So, all that being said, I think my provincial capital here in Cornoia, it could also be something further north as well, to be fair. Kokium is another alternative, but I really would like to stick to farmland or plains. If I do set it in Dewa, it's not really a huge problem that it is next to Canoium. It does also provide a very fortified area around here. And Dewa is a very, very good location for a city, additionally. So, that being said, the other thing we can do is we can now destroy these internal forts that I don't need to maintain, that I just had for the war. So the one in Lewa Brinta we're going to get rid of. It's kind of a hard decision for sure. I would like to stick to, again, Dewa is such a good location for a city. I think having Dewa and Canoium be next to each other is okay. And the question is, would I rather have a location that is a really good long-term city location or a good strategic location for the fortified provincial capital? And I think all things considered, I think I will go for Mamukium. Dewa is producing precious metals. I'd rather have a mine in Dewa, to be honest. Mamukium as a livestock location, that's more okay to make into a city. I'd like to instead turn Dewa into a profitable mining location. I guess that factor is going to be the deciding one here, I think. Alright, so Mamukium, once we control it, will be our new provincial capital, and this is a good central location for the province too, for what that's worth. Which means over here, with Mamukium as the central location, we need to decide at least sort of generally what we're going to do with the provincial capital over here. Again, this terrain here is pretty terrible. We could move the capital inwards to Petuaria. This is a much more central location in the province, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Really, really good control. It also lines up the fort zone control with Mamukia. We do lose the port, but it's still in the plains. It's still on the river. It's not really going to be a huge difference, and honestly, our non-port current capital, Wente Icenorum, hasn't really suffered from not being a port, and non-port cities are a little safer from things like naval invasions, so I think Petuaria is going to be a really solid capital location to be the response to using Mamukium as our capital location over here. Okay, that settles that. We look at the capital is going to cost some loyalty, that's fine. And the other thing we can do is go through and take a look at all the buildings, make sure these are all fine. That's fine. Yeah, okay. And then over here, Lindum, no buildings. We can get rid of the port there. Anything else? That's not my territory. All right, we're good. Okay. So with Petuaria over here, I'm going to go ahead and build a fort right now, I think, because this is going to be an important frontier location for our next war. So let's go ahead and actually just build the fort right now. I'm trying to think if there's any reason I wouldn't do this right this second. And let's see here. Yeah, okay. Let's build the fort. We have a lot of money, so this is totally fine. And actually, I think we're going to get some more money here right now. So let's go ahead and do this. Every episode, it feels, we're starting off with a big slave auction to get that tyranny up and get our money up as well. So let's just go ahead and make our way through this. Very good. I'm also definitely keeping an eye on the succession situation here with our leadership. Donwyn is getting into, I think, her 50s? I'll take a look at that in a moment. But she's getting up there in age for the time period especially. and her health has not been great, and the health of her colleagues has not been great either, so we need to be a little careful with that. Hopefully we don't have any sort of huge problem with that. And ideally, there's no big succession or leadership change until after the Second Northern War that we're planning, just to avoid some sort of logistics problem with our government, some sort of crisis of government. I think this is all of them. Oh my god, look at my treasury. That is something you like to see when you're a tribe. And if we take a look at the actual economy, it's 8.26. We haven't even started selling the additional resources we got. We have one more wild game. We've got 2 more livestock, 1 more horse, 1 more vegetable. And yeah, we're doing really solid in that regard. And when we move our capital, we're going to have to reorganize our traded goods, and we can do that in response to our new needs and whatnot. This port isn't a Boricum, by the way. That's why I'm not modifying it. We're just going to leave the capital here in the woods for now, because I can't move it till I control that land. That's fine. I could build a fort around here just to prepare for the war, but I think a fort here, and then having mercs here will make that fine. Brigantia is still allied with Carwetia, as expected. This is inevitably going to be a conflict here. They really don't like us because of that aggressive expansion. Understandably, our aggressive expansion is extremely high, probably the highest it's been in the entire series. We've never fully taken over we have before, but the Coritanian nation was so substantial. This was a very greedy victory there from me. All that being said, let's go ahead and I think resume. Although, first of all, no, that's not right. In order to set Londinium as the capital, we're going to need the dominant culture in Londinium to be Iceni. Now, why is it not currently? Just too many other people, mostly, I think, slaves from other cultures have moved in. But what we can do is extremely easily move in some Iceni tribesmen to fix this. So we're going to move in from Pontes, which should be fine. I don't think it would allow you to move in people to depopulate. So let's go ahead and move from Pontes. Nope, not a Kantian, an Iceni. And just like that, it is now fixed. So the moment is here. We're going to relocate our capital officially from Wenta Icenorum to Londinium. And in the roleplay side of things, we're going to basically see this as the beginning of the official state transition from an Iceni identity to a Prytani identity. The Celtic name for Britannia is Prytani. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And this is going to be part of the multi-year process of not only transforming our identity from just the Iceni tribe in charge of everybody to a united Prytani nation with the Iceni as the kind of the ethnic nobility, but not really given extra legal power over everybody else. And then also this is going to coincide with the abandonment of our tribal heritage and the transformation to a new kind of nation once Britannia is unified. So let's do it. 100 political influence now. Again, I'm not sure how this is calculated, but we will not likely ever have to do this again in the entire series. Londinium, there it is. The capital has been moved, and if we take a look at the Atlas bat mode, which I think is wonderful, we can see the Londinium star has grown bigger than the Wenta Icenorum star. It's happened. Very, very good. So with that change, this now sets Wenta Icenorum to our provincial capital. That's fine. This is a very good location for provincial capital anyways, so we're not going to modify that whatsoever. And just like that, that's the change we said we've been waiting for quite some time. Speaking of things we can do now, we can modify some of our missions. So we now have the Making Gains bonus, which gives Dabunia occupation welcome for, let's see here, 24 years? No, I did the math wrong. Let's see here, 2 years. Whoa, 24 years. They're not that happy to see me. All right, local tax and pop happiness. And we get a claim on Demetia. But wait a moment, we don't need that. Demetia is already under control. We get loyalty in Demetia plus 25. That's actually quite good. Demetia has had pretty low loyalty before, so this will get that taken care of. Super good. We're also going to get some popularity for Donwin, but that would actually be a waste because she actually already has... she has less than 15 to go before getting 100 popularity. That's fine, though. I'd rather get this because having her be popular is going to be helpful in a moment for what we're going to do shortly. Let's see here. We need Cortania for that, and then that needs to convert Cortania. Okay. And this now allows us to select Triumph in Britannia. Now, what this will do is give us a Triumph in Londinium for a year. No, for 10 years, which gives us 10% population output and local citizen happiness. And Donwyn gets one more charisma. Which thing is that? Charisma. Yeah, I was right about that. So that's very exciting. And this does set it to Londinium. One of the reasons I wanted to set the capital to Londinium before we finish this mission, because it gets the bonus here. And just like that, we can finish the mission. This will prevent us from doing these other missions, but we don't really need the claims they give me, and they're just going to grant a couple little bonuses that are kind of nice, but it's much more important to actually start working on the tribal reform mission first, I think. That's going to take a while. And now we have the momentum we need to basically finish the war for Britannia. We already have a Casus Belli on Brigantia anyways, and we don't need the Casus Belli on more of their land to finish off the Britannian portion of it. And because they're allied with Carwetia, we can just take the Carwetian portion of Britannia in the Brigantian Second Northern War. So that's fine. Let's go ahead and finish the mission. The Matter of Britannia. There it is. All right, so now we can select a new mission, Tribal Reform, or the Pearl of Britannia, which we will probably select next after Tribal Reform. It's time. In fact, it literally says, it is time for our people to consider new methods of rule. Foreign ideals flood our country. Can we truly remain a nomadic people? The time has come for our great country to transition into a more civilized, sedentary state. Opinions differ greatly on how this can best be achieved, even among our most ardent supporters. Some argue that we should adopt a representative mode of governance, while others feel that a hereditary monarchy would be preferable. Some great translation there. All right, so we have to transition into a monarchy or a republic. Meeting of the council. The proud heritage of our people has endured for generations, and yet the ever-changing fabric of our existence has brought greater knowledge of the world and the people that surround us. In an extraordinary council meeting, the heads of two of our greatest families, the Calatii and the Orgatorii, have both suggested that it is time for us to abandon our way of rule in favor of a new set of statutes. The Orgatorii favor the situation known as the institution, not the situation. What did I just say? The Orgatorii favor the institution known as monarchy, drawing inspiration from the tales of the great Grecian kings, whereas the Celtii, or rather the Siletii, advocate for an equal system of rule, inspired by tales of the Carthaginian Empire and Athenians, of whom we have heard much. Right, so seems we have much to ponder. So we have a couple options here. We can favor the monarchist faction, which is the Orgatorii. Importantly, you'll note who actually is the next in line for the throne, which may or may not be influencing that family's preferences. It's the Orgatorii chieftain, Celtrim. He's the most likely follow-up candidate to Donwyn. So whether or not this is done on purpose by the game, it's extremely in character for Celtrim and his family to be the monarchist faction given this. Alternatively, we could go for the Republican faction, which would actually require us to boost up the Celtii, or rather the Calatii family. This also actually has a lot of roleplay appropriateness because the Siletii, or the Calatii, they actually are our newest family. They emerged when we became a regional power. And so they probably actually like republicanism because of that. It makes sense that they consider themselves kind of the Noah Homos, the sort of the new men of the nation. But as I've alluded to in the past, we do have a direction that we do plan to go in, and it is the monarchist direction. We're going to reform our tribe into a monarchy. And the reason for doing this is, frankly, I just think playing as a monarchy in this game is sometimes more fun than playing as a republic. They both are quite fun, and they both involve quite a bit of fun special mechanics. But I think it would be more interesting to play as a monarchy, because one of the big downsides of a monarchy is you're not guaranteed very competent leadership. Famously in real history, this came up quite a bit in monarchies, and it's basically a battle of can you keep your ruling family both in power and also capable of ruling. With a republic, every 5 years or whatever you set it to with your laws, You get the chance to completely get a new competent leader or an incompetent leader who's just politically well connected. But I think given our tyrannical playstyle, playing as a monarchy also is better that way. As a republic, you have to constantly fight against your own tyranny modifier. You have to constantly keep your tyranny down, or else your Senate is not able to function. And with my playstyle, I definitely do not want to have tyranny become a super serious hindrance for us. Monarchs actually can benefit from tyranny, so we're going to go ahead and lean into our tyrannical ways and favor the monarchists. This gives us a lower threshold for civil war, which shouldn't be an issue right now, and or rather give us a bonus to enact law cost. Monarchist favoritism, very good. All right, next up, in order to do these things, we have to do the dynastic legal reform, which requires 100 political influence, so this is just a waiting game, and then construct the state palace, which requires 40 civ level in Londinium. Okay, this is what I thought I might need to do, is have certain civ levels and whatnot. Let's take a look at Londinium's current status. Its current civ maximum is 32, so we're going to have to really civilize Londinium quite a bit. And there's a few things we can do to get it in that direction, but this is what I mean when I say this mission tree will take a while. There's a lot of stuff that's just a time-gated thing. So that all being said, we have ourselves some objectives. Now, I think civ level can be boosted by a couple of these. Yeah, so the granary adds civ level, the library adds civ level, the marketplace adds civ level, and that's probably the first thing we're going to focus on because of that pop assimilation speed. And actually, I think a lot of these buildings just add civ level just in general. So I think we also have some province investments, or do we? Hold on. We have none available. Never mind. And we're going to need to save the political influence. We can't spend it on those, to be fair. Okay, so what do we want to build in Londinium? We already have marketplace built up here in Icenia. Well, first of all, I think what we can do is we need to reorganize our trade routes into our new capital. Also, we're going to need to change this ASAP. As soon as we're able to, switch this off of Bleed Them Dry, because otherwise Actually, hold on. We can actually just barely pull it off because of how much the province of Icenia is Icenia. We really actually can keep on bleeding them dry. We'll keep an eye on this. If this starts to go into the negative per month, we will change that. This may not have modified quite yet. But Contiacia can switch to bleed them dry, or should it? The issue is Contiacia isn't actually really fully Icenia yet. It's split between Icenia, a little bit of Trinowantians, and a bunch of Contiacians are still hanging around. There's no need to start bleeding Contiacia dry until the cultural assimilation to Icenia has really been established there. Okay, now let's take a look at the trade routes. We don't have all the goods available here, so let's try and focus on getting bonuses that we like in our capital here. We already have a grain bonus. We'll probably keep the extra grain. We could get a livestock bonus, which would grant us pop promotion speed. Probably something we're going to want once we are no longer a tribe, to get all of our tribesmen turned into freemen as much as we can. So that's certainly a good option. The iron won't matter because we don't really have any legions. We could get hemp. This would give us extra ship damage done, which does not matter at all for us right now. Earthenware would give us freeman output, which could be handy. Wood is another ship bonus, I think. Let's see. Yeah, it gives us ship recruit speed, which if we were to start building a navy, this would actually be a handy thing to have, possibly something I'll look into. We could instead also just get more wood locally from our wood-producing province, which is Lamium. We could just throw some slaves in there. A lot of options there. Then a wild game, which I think gives us archer discipline. Okay. And that also gives us more local tribesman happiness, which is handy, of course. So instead what we could do is we could just trade, instead of for the bonus, we could just trade for the money. So we could get precious metals for extra citizen happiness, which we're going to have some citizens in Londinium, of course. Plus do it, or actually hold on, it's just locally. So anytime it's just saying 1, that's probably just meaning it's from myself. Yeah, so we actually can't trade for precious metals. We don't really have any trade options. Our aggressive expansion is not helping with our foreign status. Everyone kind of dislikes us. Even further away, these folks aren't happy with us. That aggressive expansion that I took is actually quite substantial, so this is affecting our ability to trade with the world. So we may have to be a little more careful with that. But fish and livestock are available. Vegetables, yes, I can trade for vegetables. I actually kind of would like to get vegetables, 2 units of it, because the move slave cost minus 25% can add up a lot once we start to really shift slaves around. I think now that we're beginning to transition from the scrappy early game of having just our one province and kind of fighting for control locally, we're beginning the multi-episode transition into a mid-game, in big air quotes. This is the beginning of essentially most of the game, which is the mid-game, from the scrappy early game to having at least a region under your control. And in the mid-game mindset is when I start to do the slave micromanagement game. I've not really focused on it so much yet because there's not as much money from our population, but once we start to have a full province worth of stuff happening, moving slaves around is something I'll be doing quite a bit, and having this vegetable trade in our capital would be handy in that regard. So we can get 1 vegetable from Dabunya, so that's an internal trade, not worth very much, and then 1 from, actually, because the vegetables aren't so valuable, it's not even really worth much from here anyways. I think we'll come back to that later. We can always cancel trades and add in vegetable trades. I think vegetable trades will become available with these folks as the opinion goes away. These are all capital bonuses. We'll wait and see if we can do that later. Well, let's see what other options we have. We could get the bonus for hemp. Could get more grain. Let's see, what does an internal thing here look like? 0.15 per month. I mean, most of our trade income comes from us selling our goods, to be honest, so it doesn't make a huge difference. I think what I will do, because the thing is, taking away... So trading internally, the bigger problem here isn't that I earn less money from it, it's that I don't sell those vegetables for a huge amount of money to someone else. So that is really the big trade-off. So the issue is, would I rather have the move slave bonus right now, which I think I might want to, because I have a lot of slaves to move around, or would I rather wait for my aggressive expansion to diminish and look for better trade deals? I think we're going to be pretty unpopular with everybody because of our big aggressive expansion, and this is going to take a while to go down. We may actually delay the follow-up Northern War a little bit just to try and get this under control, but that being said, once we control Britannia, we're not going to necessarily push beyond that, so maybe we have one more bit of pushing to do. I think while we still have even just this low amount of aggressive expansion compared to where it could go, we are going to go for the vegetable thing, because I would like to get the move slave bonus there. I trade for vegetables, and then do the internal trade for vegetables, get the move slave cost, that's fine. Vegetables aren't worth a whole lot, so selling them away isn't as important as, say, selling my precious metals. And then one more trade slot currently. I think I might actually get a livestock one, just because livestock's a decently valuable trade good. I can trade for it externally, and I actually do like the pop promotion bonus, though not necessarily for slaves. Let's see here. Who do I want to trade with? That UI is not the best there. Oh my gosh, so many pop-ups here. Livestock. Yeah, so I can trade with... I can't trade with Marini. I'm looking for someone to trade with who maybe I want to boost relations with. I suppose these guys are fine. Alright. And with that done, let's take a look now. Alright, so if we take a look at our economy, I was hoping we might get to around 9 per turn, or per month, but that was a little ambitious. We're up to 8.75, almost 8.74. So I think I'm fine with these trades. I think this is fine. The pop promotion speed is good once we're not a tribe, and the move slave cost is really handy. And what I will also do now is actually commit to doing those slave moves. So this is going to be a significant bit of micromanagement, but I think I can start doing it in the southern portion of my lands. Maybe we'll deal with the northern portion once we finish the Northern War. In either case, we're not ready to do the Northern War quite yet. Let's see here. I could declare war at any point. They'd bring in Carwetia. If I waited, who would they possibly ally with to add to the complication? Probably nobody. There's no one else who really that would be a natural ally for them, and fighting them while they're allied with Carwetia is handy for me. I would need to use mercenaries for this war. My levy is not recovered yet. It's up to 6. That's really handy. let's see here, 15th of July, 479. I'd want to wait until then. I have to wait about a year and a half. That's fine. So I'll wait until the middle of 479, call in my levy, and then also bring in the mercs. And the mercs I'd bring in... I could bring in these folks. These guys are recovered. I think I can get away with my levy plus this force, because it's a larger force, but I suppose we'll see. I think they're going to go back to Dewa. All right. Anyways, let's actually unpause the game. All right. So there's our modifiers, and that's because of Icenia losing those trades. That's fine. All right. Looks good. Okay, our stability is now actually high enough that it is. Well, obviously the aggressive expansion is causing it to go down. It's going up towards 50 less because it's so close. So we could use our stability for something now, and we did just get that reduce law change modifier. We could change some of our laws here potentially, or could we? We need 25. Yeah, we need political influence to do that. Never mind. We're not going to worry about that. We almost have 100 centralization, which is great. Lots and lots of pop promotion speed. So, I think before I unpause, I will do a bit of economy micromanagement in this episode, just because we've had so much war recently. This is going to be a nice change of pace. So let's start in Wente Econorm itself. Let's take a look at the culture over here. It is mostly Iceni, although, if you look here, this is what I like to see. The Iceni culture spreading around everywhere. Though actually, while I'm thinking about it, I think I have access to... Yes, I can do another colony. And I think I want to do a colony here in Petuaria. This is going to be a Cortani colony. Let's see here. So many cultures in my nation now. Cortani, they're a very small culture group, but that's fine. We're going to find... No, hold on, that's wrong. Banu Walam. I'm going to let a month tick by, so that gets changed over as it ought to after the monthly tick to Petuaria. All right, Manapia wants to trade for wood. That's great. Manapia is probably the nation I'm the most nervous about being aggressive towards me. They're not, I mean, they don't border me, but they're nearby, and they could certainly do some sort of naval attack. That being said, I think they're unlikely to do that. I don't think the AI likes to go across the ocean for wars unless they're in an alliance, so I think we should be safe. These guys want to trade for earthenware. Oh, that's so much money. Love to see it. Oh my gosh, more. Rarica wants to trade for wild game. That's fine. All right. Who's this? You want to trade for precious metal. Yeah, look how much money the precious metals is going to make us. 0.78. That's what you like to see. Look at this income. 10.35. Wow. Our trading empire really is substantial. If we take a look at our economy here, look how much money is coming from commerce. It's twice as much as our tax base. That's incredible. This is definitely, going to improve a bit once we become a monarchy, but absolutely great. And also, while we're in the monthly tick, Cortania. All right, Petuaria gains colonies. That's what I wanted to see. Petuaria. Pop simulation speed, migration attraction, and whatnot. Petuaria in a Iceni colony. The arrival of Iceni settlers has hardly endeared the local population to us, but the foundation of a colony in this area is without a doubt the very best way to exert control here in the long run. Soon even the local Cortani inhabitants will see how our city will prosper and surpass any previous settlements they may have had in this area before the land was confiscated. So we're going to shift a bunch of people over to Petuaria. Handy stuff. Petuaria is now a pretty sizable settlement. We will build a city here. It's not the first in my list of planned city locations. I think Canetio is still my first city location I want to build in, just because of the aforementioned Stonehenge issue. Anyways. Oh, hold on. I just noticed this. The provincial capital over here moved over to Isca Demnorium when I took this land. I didn't notice that before, but I will fix this as soon as I'm able to. The provincial loyalty is too low to do it right now. Not a huge deal if it's there right now. This is still the colony location, I think. Yeah, so I can just move the capital back, and it won't be a huge problem. Anyways, I'm actually going to go ahead and call this an episode here. I think next episode I'm going to do a huge amount of economy, like slave movement, economy stuff, and basically just commit a whole episode to doing that. while we make our way to the middle of 479. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this kind of post-war, kind of new state of things episode where I laid out some of my future plans. And I will see you all next time.